I'm going to ask that we start with John Linton from the U.S. Department of Education, and John's going to share with you a little bit about the federal perspective and what's happening right now in terms of federal investments and efforts around corrections and reentry.
Thank you, Laura. I'm really delighted to bring greetings from OVE at the U.S. Department of Education. And I'd like to say that we're very fortunate to have in the person of Dr. Brenda Dan Messier, an Assistant Secretary leading OVE currently, who has put correctional education really in the spotlight. Many of my colleagues in correctional education have heard Brenda when she's visited us at other CEA events. She really cares about the population that correctional educators serve. Brenda has led ongoing initiatives among her peers across the Department of Education to consider seriously how our agency can support and expand and improve programming for the nation's criminal justice population. At this conference, I've had several opportunities to share information about the evolving correctional education strategy currently being implemented and further developed by the department. Projects such as LINKS, which is the National Resource for Adult Education Professional Development, the Adult College and Career Ready Standards Project, the Policy to Performance Project that Laura mentioned, and now the Designing Instruction for Career Pathways Project. Speaking generally about the concept of career pathways, I'm pleased to observe that it does have great applicability to correctional education. It addresses what I personally think is one of our greatest challenges in correctional education, which is to integrate educational services and to place education in a context that can best serve our clients in their transition to successful labor market participation post-release. It has emerged as a unifying concept in the current administration, perhaps best exemplified in the joint statement that Laura referred to, a joint statement last year from Assistant Secretaries in the Department of Education, the Department of Labor, and the Department of Health and Human Services. Brenda Dan Messier signed for the Department of Education, and it was a letter dated April 4th of 2012. It provided a common definition of career pathways for use across the federal government. Laura read this, but I'll repeat it because I think it takes a minute to absorb this information. A series of connected education and training strategies and support services that enable individuals to secure industry-relevant certification, obtain employment within an occupational area, and to advance to higher levels of future education and employment in that area. The letter speaks to some of the components of effective career pathways programs, speaking of the importance of articulating the necessary adult basic education, occupational training, post-secondary education, career and academic advising, and support services necessary to enter and progress in a career. The letter included specifications of about 15 essential components of a career pathways approach. And as I reviewed that listing of those essential components, I noted that all are important within the context of serving a correctional population. The letter also announced initiatives within each of the three agencies, including, of course, the Designing Instruction for Career Pathways initiative represented by the existence of this session today. And I wanted to mention also that there's a rich set of web-based resources at the Adult Career Pathways Training and Support Center, the website that's also built and maintained by Laura and her colleagues at Kratos Learning. But I'd like also to observe that Career Pathways is giving us a new and well-respected common vocabulary that we can talk across disciplines as we work with professionals in all aspects of reentry. Of course, those in corrections, but also those in the workforce system and with employers and across the spectrum of education providers. As many of you have heard me speak in the last couple of years know, we are most excited about disseminating and improving our own reentry education model. We very much believe that this is a career pathways model, and so we're pleased to reflect that in the technical assistance currently being developed through this project, you'll see the elements of career pathways. You may have noted the recent rollout of the Department of Labor's $20 million Training to Work Adult Reentry Initiative grants. This is another innovative example of applying the career pathways model to corrections toward the end of successful post-release employment. So I'd like to mention prospectively that we're also looking forward to the release this fall of a Casey Foundation-funded product developed by the Justice Center of the Council of State Governments, that being the TA provider for the Second Chance Act, and also with coordination with the U.S. Department of Labor. That resource will be titled Integrating Reentry and Employment Strategies, Reducing Recidivism, and Promoting Job Readiness. So this work tackles the challenge of integrating the elements of career pathways and corrections with the special public safety mandate of corrections, that mandate being to identify and address individual criminogenic needs. So this should help us move forward to mesh human capital development efforts prescribed through career pathways with the special factors associated with the correctional population. So thanks again, Laura, for the opportunity to join the distinguished panel today, and I'm pleased to be a small part of the Designing Instruction of Career Pathways by participating today. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, John.